Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Pray you're doing well and that this day finds you with some joy. It is a gray and dark day today, and we might get a little weather later on, but we have much to do. So, hope that you're finding it well wherever you are. We have just by way of, as we're waiting for a few folks to come along, by way of advertisement, this Sunday, immediately following church, we will have the opportunity for our uh, blessing, our vows blessing, a renewal of vows. So couples that would like to renew their commitment to one another, we'll have some tokens to present to each other. We'll have some opportunities to recommit your relationship. That we try to do this around Valentine's Day weekend, and so as Valentine's Day is tomorrow, we will hope to help you all recommit your relationships to each other. So if you'd like to be a part of that, feel free, come on down. We'll be there we'll be immediately following service um, at church. So good morning, everybody. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Glad you're here. So, all right, friends, let's get going this morning. It is the 13th day of February on this Thursday, and it is 11:11. And I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad you're a part of this. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And and I wanted to talk a little bit about Valentine's Day for tomorrow, just as a way of grounding us in what we, just kind of some of the historical ideas of what we know to be true, but way more important than what was historically true. We get hung up way too much on what is historically true, but it is more about the what has grown out of the faithfulness of a guy like Valentine, or should I say guys like Valentine, because the 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 first thing we discover about St. Valentine's Day is there are actually two St. Valentines celebrated whose feast day is the 14th of February. I know it's getting weird already, right? That one was a bishop in Africa, another in near Rome. Both of them seem to do incredible things. Although the Catholic Church and their whole saint kind of thing that they do has elevated some and lowered others. Um, that what we find ourselves celebrating tomorrow, though, is this traditional idea of commitment and love to each other, and that the loves the I remember as a little kid, just being as young as I can remember in school, kind of making out little valentines in class and keeping these traditions of this little note that one would offer. That and in fact the story of that is, which, again, many of these stories are apocryphal. They're not true. But here's what I want to tell you. They are so beautiful. They are true. You see, this is one of the things that I hope we can come to, is understanding that the rational world, the world in which we live, has brought us this place where, if we can't calculate the facts of what happened, we find ourselves without a sense of truth. I want to suggest to you, and Valentine's Day is the perfect time to do it, that this this is a this sells the truth short, because the truth is, it's not about facts, is it? The truth is that the truth is the people that we love, the people that we lose along the way, the people that we commit ourselves to again and again and again, though that sometimes treat us well, sometimes treat us poorly. Somewhere in between, there's always this relationship and this covenant, a relationship with God, which is, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes unknowable, sometimes understanding. Those are I want to, prove to me in some sort of material fashion that those things are true. When we talk about our love for another person, prove to me that it is true. Uh, we've lost this sense of the magical and the wonderful, and that largely the those in the Middle Ages held on to. And we encounter this whenever we encounter holy space, or whenever we encounter festivals, or whenever we encounter feast days. And tomorrow is the feast day of St. Valentine, which is why I wanted to bring that in. So Valentine was the stories go as thus. So, I hope my preface was enough to say, don't get on the Google and go try and figure out whether or not, what archaeological evidence there was for this and blah, 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 blah. Don't bother. Don't bother. That's not what we're talking about. If you want to do that, there's perfectly good places for you to do that. We are talking about the meaning and the power and the beauty behind these things that we keep. These holidays that have been bequeathed to us by our ancestors and have been worked on and inspired and crafted in ways that they offer us something. They offer us something. So the story of Valentine is this. So he was a bishop, and one of the Valentines was a bishop in Rome, and he came before a judge, and in coming before this judge, who had a blind daughter, and he says, if you heal my daughter, and he was there to tell that he was arrested because he was helping Christians throughout the city, which was a high crime in the 200s, and he was in the business, of aiding and healing and doing miracles as well. Both of these things became problematic. There is another story in which he was marrying couples in secret, and that which has arisen, that he was actively working against the powers that be in order to marry these couples, because there was a way in which that the couples, if they were married, were not eligible or as eligible for military service. And so that he became this purveyor of love as these couples were getting married in secret. And he came before this judge, and the judge said, "Look, if you can heal my daughter, I will do whatever you ask." And it was, so he healed, and so in doing so, the story is that he lays his hands on the judge's daughter, and she is able to see. And in that, the judge is a man of his word. He fasts for 3 days. He destroys all the idols and pagan idols in his house, and he converts his whole household, 44 people, to Christianity. Now, he's a judge, right? He's a guy on the scene. Now, the problem with this is this catches the attention of the emperor. And in catching the attention of the emperor, which at this point in time is Claudius II, Claudius II ends up with he goes before Claudius II because, hey, not only are you subverting the order of things that we did, you're breaking the law. Not only are you doing that, but you are in the business of, now you're in the business of taking my judges and making them Christian and unable to really do the great work of the empire here. Now, what's going on? So Claudius, so Valentine comes before Claudius, and again Claudius is, and again as he did the judge, he seeks to invite him to know Christ as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he invites him into the Christian walk. Well, Claudius is enraged by this. How dare you, says Claudius, and in doing so, he ends up sending him back to jail and for martyrdom and execution. So he will, however, as these little stories have, and these little contingencies and pieces and parts along the way, that the jailer had also a blind daughter, and that jailer's blind daughter had come to visit, had heard what had happened with the judge, and the jailer had brought his daughter, and they had and not only had they had they had um, had they kind of this rapport, but there was this way in which they kind of became friendly, not in necessarily not in a romantic way, but in just this way in which that there was this connection as he offered her consolation for her blindness and for her illness, and the night before he is executed, the stories are that she would be healed of her blindness. And as he is being led out of his cell, he would slip her a note, and that said nothing more than from your Valentine. And she would be able to see and read that note, having been cured from her blindness. Again, don't try to proof all these stories. Don't try to go to the interwebs and see, oh, how is it true? Like, that's not what we're doing today. These are some of the stories around Valentine that have been built and that have been given to the church, that have emerged out of people's faithfulness for, again, this is 267 that he is martyred, that he is led out of that gate on February 14th, 267, over 1800 years ago, or nearly 1800 years ago. He is led out of that. He is led to his death. He will be beaten at the Flaminian Gate and then executed. A widow will come by and steal his body and bury it alongside the highway, basically, and a chapel will be erected over his remains 100 years later. And as reports are, there's still that chapel still stands today. I tell you the whole story. I tell you this so that we can understand, or that we can maybe embrace as we negotiate our own relationships in this life, as we kind of step into Valentine's Day, and maybe we have somebody in our life that we have to contend with for Valentine's Day. Maybe we don't, and I like that word contend. I use that in purpose. That maybe we're conscious of the absence. Maybe we're conscious of the kind of the lack of what is present, whether it's lack from our relationship, or whether it's lack from the person we're with, whether it's lack from ourselves, whatever nothing's perfect. But this, what I'm hoping you'll see in this, there is this magical way. There is this, in maybe a better word, an enchanted way in which the Spirit has worked with these stories over the past 1800 years to bring not just this one faithful guy who was brought into martyrdom 1800 years ago, but who has brought us into this place where the story is and was unfolded regardless of what is true. And we have to do this all the time in our relationships. We have to do this all the time with our people. Because largely the reality is this. It's really about the story we end up telling ourselves, isn't it? We can look at what our partner does, or we can look at what we've done in the course of our life, because maybe we don't have a partner. Maybe we can look at what has transpired in our life, what has happened in our life, and we can tell ourselves all kinds of stories about that. We can make ourselves victims and martyrs. We can make ourselves heroes, and everybody else just people trying to take advantage of us. We can make ourselves any manner of things in the manner of which we tell the story about ourselves. But what I think is so compelling about Valentine's story, and I think is what so compelling about our story, is that and what we can kind of lean into on this Valentine's Day, wherever you may find yourself, is that every moment we have this way in which we can bring to it this simple chance to bring forth the love of God in Christ Jesus, and just try to help out. Whether and this is really what ends up getting Valentine in trouble, It's what really Valentine does through the entire to the story that emerges out of the sweetness of his story. That again and again and again, whether Valentine finds himself in jail, whether he finds himself before the judge, whether he finds himself before the emperor, he seeks to simply make himself helpful and useful and loving to the people around him. And that doesn't mean he bends the knee. That doesn't mean he's weak in any fashion or manner. It does. In fact, he is martyred because of his willingness to stand by that which he believes and that which he holds. But it comes not out of self-righteousness. It comes not out of the demand for others to be as we would have them be. It comes simply from this place of building a story of our own seeking to love the people around us and to love the world as it is. And I think if we're contending with a partner on this Valentine's Day, maybe that's the best we can do. Maybe just helping them to be a little better than they are and not necessarily looking for the payback. Helping the relationship to be a little better than it is and not necessarily looking for the pat on the back and the reward for it, or for somebody to notice that we've done it. Not to simply try to embody, all the things that society tells us we're supposed to be in a relationship or not, but simply to offer a kindness and the kindness that brings healing, and it allows us to offer the note, allows us to offer the message from your Valentine. Friends, wherever you find yourself in these days, and wherever you find yourself on this Valentine's Day, I hope you will, beyond the romance and the schmomance of it all, that you will seek to live out that spirit of Valentine's and the saints Valentines that are honored on tomorrow's feast day, and that you will, well, again, simply seek to love those in front of you, seek to help out where you can, and seek to love the Lord God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and all your being, and that in that we will find roses for sure and chocolates in abundance, and we will find the goodness of God in a little note handed to a recovered blind child in a far off land. Peace and grace to you all, my friends. And I hope if you are partnered and you want to celebrate or work on or bring that to bear, we have on Sunday, immediately following service, we will have our vow renewal for couples that want to come in and renew their vows. We have some tokens for you to exchange. We have a little bit of music laid on for you. Peace and grace to you all, and happy Valentine's Day.